Hey guys, what is up? Chris here with Cohesive Friendship Unit. Just me today. The Nintendo Direct that everyone thought was going to be a classic Direct and ended up being a Pokemon Direct just concluded, and we got a lot of Pokemon Sword and Shield news that I think is definitely worth talking about. I'm personally split, much like I think a lot of people are split on this gen. I am split on this news. And yeah, we'll go through my pros and my cons and kind of do a rundown of what happened. We are doing a giveaway, Risk of Rain 2, your platform of choice, 2,250 subs. All you gotta do is be subscribed. You can check out our community tab for more. So if you like this content, throw us a like. If you love us, sub us. So basically, there is now an expansion pass for Pokemon going forward. There's no longer going to be the new game in the same gen, like Pokemon Crystal, like Pokemon Emerald, like Pokemon Yellow. There's no longer going to be that next game, that Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon kind of thing. Instead, what's happening is an expansion pass, which that's my kind of first pro, is welcome to the era of the internet, Gamefreak. This is kind of nice. Super happy. No more buying 2 games, or for some people 4 games if you're buying the Sword Shield and then the theoretical like Ultra Sword, Ultra Shield, which no longer exists. That's nice that we're no longer putting up with that. Now you just get 1 game or 2 if you want both, and you get the expansion pass. I'm sure we'll see in 2021, 2022, like a re-release of Sword and Shield, like a Game of the Year or whatever with all the DLC. But for now, it's nice that people only have to buy 1 game. And we'll talk later, but that does save you a bit of money theoretically down the line. So that is nice. And this apparently is how things are going to move going forward. And I'm okay with that. Next is that all the wild... there's 2 new areas. There's 2 big areas, the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. Isle of Armor is coming around June. Crown Tundra is coming in the fall of 2020, and it's all going to be like the wild area. You're going to have a free form camera, which is really cool, and I think that shows that the future is clear for this series. The future is free camera in Pokemon, and that just makes sense to me. And I think it makes sense for everyone, but it's refreshing to see that that is where things are going with these DLCs. Both DLCs being full wild area style, free roaming camera style games. And that is really nice. That's probably the biggest thing out of this whole Direct for me. Because almost definitely the next gen is going to be just open. And the other thing kind of related it looks like there's going to be, like, instead of raid battles, like kind of full-blown raids for the Crown Tundra. Again, that's coming basically a year from now. But it looks like there's going to be basically full raids, maybe not just like raid battles, but there's like a co-op mode. You can go in these caves with your friends and have what seems to be a bigger challenge in co-op. The next kind of pro I want to talk about is this is a pretty substantial post-game for Pokemon. This seems like one of the more substantial post-games for Pokemon. I'd say maybe second to Gen 2, where you could just go through a whole nother region. But this gen has a weak post-game, in my opinion at least. It's not the greatest post-game. And this gives us something fairly substantial, again, if you're willing to penny up for it. Next, 200 plus Pokemon are going to be added in this 2020 year, which to me is pretty good, because at that point we're at like 600-ish Pokemon that are in the Dex, so maybe we will eventually get the national Dex in this gen. And that would personally work for me if eventually we get the Dex by the end of the gen. I know it's not the best, but at least we would, 200 plus is pretty good. Hopefully they continue in 2021 with another 200 and kind of round things off. But those are kind of my pros. The cons, because again, I'm split on this. $30. So much it's going to cost for you to get this expansion pass. And I wonder a couple of things. One, it is nice to see that they've essentially valued the content of these Ultra Suns and Ultra Moons, and they're $30. It's half the price of the game. That's kind of a lot of money. That means if you want the full Sword and Shield experience, you're paying $90. And again, there might even be more DLC down the line. The other thing that I'm a little, I don't know, I do kind of wish that if you bought this pass, it would work for both Sword and Shield under your Nintendo account. Like, if you bought both the games, if you spent $120 on Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, do you have to spend another $60 for these expansions? Or do you just have to say, I'm only going to play the expansions on Shield? You know what I mean? It's a little rough. They are doing free updates so you can trade the Pokemon back and forth, so you could make do with just buying one of the expansions, but still something I thought I would talk about. I kind of wish they made that more clear. And I'm not going to say that this is what happened, but this is a little bit what it feels like happened, right? So you don't launch the game with the National Dex and you launch with a lackluster post-game. Is it possible that this was in part removed from the base game, or you know what I mean? This makes the base game to me feel a bit empty. It feels like the base game should have had a bit more, because now they're not really relying on selling another game. Now everyone who's bought Sword and Shield is a potential customer for this new game expansion, and the base games feel a little empty, and maybe that was engineered to an extent to get you to buy the expansion pass. I don't know, but yeah, $30. I don't know. I'm a little torn on that, and half of this content is basically a year away, and the other half is 6 months away. I don't necessarily think they needed to do this direct today, because yeah, we got the mystery dungeon, but that didn't have to be in a Pokemon dedicated direct. That was like the first 3 minutes of the direct. We could have just had a normal traditional Nintendo Direct, and that could have been in there for the March release. It does seem weird selling an expansion. I felt the same way for Zelda Breath of the Wild. It does feel a bit weird selling DLC that's not coming out for a year. Personally to me. And even 6 months being the closest is a long time. But those are my pros and cons on the Direct. Interesting Direct. I still think we're getting a normal Direct. There was, like, to me, a 5% chance we were going to get the last Smash character. That didn't happen. But let me know what you guys thought about the Direct. That's all. I'll catch you next time.